Miranda v. Arizona is why we have Miranda rights, and it makes it so if a police officer does not inform you of your rights and then gets information out of you, that can't be used against you. And they're violating your rights by doing so, and according to this ruling, you can't sue them over that. Or how about in a 6-3 ruling, court strikes down New York's concealed carry law. And you know what this and the Miranda rights thing have in common? No one asked for this. No one came to the Supreme Court and was like, hey, I feel like this is unconstitutional, or hey, too many cops are being sued over Miranda rights violations. They just decided to do these things. And Clarence Thomas made it very clear what's next. Thomas, in his opinion concurring with Dobbs, calls on his court colleagues to next overrule Griswold on contraception, Lawrence on same-sex sex, and Obergefell on same-sex marriage.
The United States Supreme Court is an illegitimate organization. Okay, we just saw them take away Roe v. Wade for a case that was about abortion after 15 weeks. But no, they just scrapped the whole thing, giving the states the right to do whatever they want at the moment of conception. Clarence Thompson's talking about taking away the right to contraception away. Okay, so not only are women not allowed to get abortions anymore in the deepest red states, but they also aren't allowed to prevent pregnancy in the first place. Okay, and then Clarence Thomas is talking about gay marriage. Oh, but it gets deeper than that, because it's not only about taking away people's rights to be married if they're homosexual, but he's talking about criminalizing gay sex. This country is going backwards in such a ridiculous and cartoonish way. You're talking about outlawing same-sex sex. How are you going to enforce this? If we find out the two men are sleeping together, if we find out the two women are sleeping together, we're going to put you in jail for it? What? What are we doing?
Griswold guarantees you can use contraceptives, so without it, a state can say if you get pregnant, you cannot have an abortion. That's illegal. But you cannot take steps to prevent a pregnancy in the first place either. And those others would make it where a state can say gay marriage, illegal. Gay sex, illegal. And while Clarence Thomas doesn't mention it because, he has a white wife, Loving v. Virginia that says that interracial marriage can't be made illegal is also on that chopping block.
And then, of course, good old Clarence Thomas. We're going to put all that stuff on the chopping block. You know what I'm saying? The Supreme Court, they just took away our ability to sue police officers if they don't read us our Miranda rights. Because, police, they don't have enough authority and power over us. We got to give them even more. We got to give them more of the ability to abuse our rights, okay? And they also made it so, hey, if you want to conceal a weapon in New York, which also will, of course, trickle to other states, if you want to have a gun in church, if you want to have a gun at a theme park, at a swimming pool, hey, no problem. You can do whatever the hell you want. But, of course, Clarence Thomas, he's leaving interracial marriage off. Oh, well, because, that's something different, because interracial marriage, that's sacred. But everything else that we're talking about, oh, no, that's totally different. No, it's not different. It's just that his wife is white. That's all it is. And this is the big joke about conservatives.
Republicans are only 35% of the population, and not all of that 35% shares kind of extreme religious-driven views like this. And yet, people with those views have managed to control the majority of the Supreme Court. They represent the smallest collection of Americans and what they want, and yet they're applying it to all Americans. This is the fastest turn toward right-leaning ideologies in America's history, and it's happening while Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And that makes no sense.
And I'm glad that at the end of this video, my man pointed out the fact that, the Democrats control the White House, they control the House, and they control the Senate. All while the Supreme Court, who is putting forth these policies that represent such a tiny percentage of the country. And what are the Democrats doing about it? Now, I always talk about we got to get better Democrats in office, and that's not going to change. That's always going to be my message. At the end of the day, we don't like Democratic leadership. We have to replace these people. That's our job. But let's point out again, all this is happening. And what does Nancy Pelosi do? She reads a poem and she said, from time to time, I read this poem. Yeah, that's why you had to look and stutter to remember who wrote the poem, because you don't read that poem from time to time. You just picked it up. And you didn't even give a fiery speech. You read a poem. And then of course, you begged for money. You send out, requests to people's emails so that they can give money to the DNC. But for what, Nancy? What are you guys doing about everything that's going on while the Supreme Court literally burns the country to the ground? And here come the Republicans. So what are you going to do about it? But like I said, What are we going to do about it? Not only do we have to show up to the polls, we have to run ourselves. We got to get back to the community and we got to fight. We can't just roll back and let these people do what they want.